Hi, friends. Welcome to Lotus in the Light. My name's Jennifer. Happy to have you join me. I have no idea what we're going to talk about today, so just trying to get centered. I feel called to pull a few cards for myself and see where that takes us. In particular, I've had a few visitations and messages from my grandma today. So I'm feeling like deeply inspired by my ancestral lineage. And so for that reason, I feel called to use my Sacred Rebels Oracle. And I'm going to try something I've never done before. I'm going to do three cards to represent where I've been, where I'm going, where I've been, where I'm at, and where I'm going is what I am going to do and see what message comes out of this for us. And again, I'm using my Sacred Rebels. This is the first deck I ever bought. I went not with the intention of buying an Oracle deck, but the intention of buying a tarot deck. And this one just kept calling to me in particular by my mother. And so it has a sense of uh, like the family connection for me. Okay, two fell out, so I'll grab one more. So I'm going to take the top one as the past, the next one as the present. Um, my top one is conscious connections. So we're going to call that the past. The present is what is already with you. And then I will shuffle and pull one more for our future. Oh, it already popped up. There we go. She feels, she knows. Okay, so let's just start here with conscious connections. It's a 35, which breaks down to an 8. So 8 is about manifesting. It's about infinite possibilities. If we think about the 8, the infinity loop. Let's see, this is, just give me a second to read into this a little bit. So what I'm getting from this is the partnerships that we have in life that are helping to move us forward and helping us to create the life that we want, create the experiences that we want, or sometimes the experiences that we need. And I'm seeing, this is mostly black and white, but the two colors that I'm picking up on here are orange, both orange, or the two areas of color are both orange. So orange is your sacral chakra. And so this has to do with with your desires in life and in this experience. And it has to do with creation. And so, what this is telling me, and again, this is the card representing the past, is that there are people in our lives, and this could be more than people. This could be your higher self. This could be representative of your spirit guides, angels, but there are others. Let me just use the word generally, others who are here to help us move along. And that has been an interesting journey for me over the last year and a half. I have felt mostly pretty isolated in this journey that I've been going on in terms of those who are actively in my physical life, friends, family, so on and so forth. I feel like I've kind of been doing this journey alone in that sense, but I have felt very comforted and very supported by, and I'm looking at this image here because it looks like you can see like the generational aspects of this. I feel very supported by my loved ones from the beyond, and my spirit guides and angels and God and all of those uh, non-physical beings that I know are supporting me in this journey. So that has been really a critical part of my past. Funny, I actually just did a sorry, I couldn't think of what it was called, a YouTube short. I did a YouTube short today where I was talking about my best friend from high school who came up here back to Cincinnati and stayed with me for the night a few nights ago. And we got in this conversation. We're very like politically like polar opposites. And we ended up in this conversation. She started telling me her thoughts about something. And then I started trying to persuade her of some other different perspective. Anyway, the whole point of the digital short or of the YouTube short was to talk about, you know, when our belief systems change, there's still a process of shedding the old behaviors because sometimes we get stuck in those old patterns of behavior that are no longer serving us. Not only are they no longer serving us, but they're no longer even aligned with what we believe. And that was the case with her this weekend. And she's such a good friend. She's always willing to call me out on my shit. She's been doing that since we were teenagers. um, One time even resulting in a punch in the nose. And for me, a punch in the nose. Oh no, I think I punched her in the nose. Yes. Anyway. um, because she was calling me out of my shit. So anyway, we have these relationships, and it says here conscious connections. We have these connections in our life that are there to help us and help nurture us through our this journey of life. And it might not always look or feel like help. So like this weekend when she was calling me out on my behavior, that didn't feel good. And my new belief systems, I initially said, okay, how she feels about it is about her, not about me. Like it doesn't matter. My words had a certain intent, and how she interprets that is really about her and what she needs to learn out of this and what she needs to get out of this. It really has nothing to do with me. So if she felt like I was pushing something on her, that's really about her. What is about me is how I feel about how that whole thing went down. And so when I started to sit back and reflect on it, I realized she's actually right. I was pushing my ideas on her in a way that was aligned with how I used to believe, which was the Christian idea of, it's my job to go out there and share the truth, so that people can, find their salvation and, all that kind of stuff. And so I'm used to trying to convince people of things that I believe to be true. And now my belief system is totally different. And so that was an uncomfortable situation. But nevertheless, I think we have these deep soul level connections where we have agreed to help support each other through life lessons. So even through the uncomfortable stuff, and it might not even be a friend, it might be somebody you don't like at all, but on a soul level, you probably don't like them because they are here to rub you the wrong way. They are here to cause you some friction so that you will think a little bit about what you believe and what you know to be true, and so on and so forth. So my journey thus far has been full of these connections that maybe I didn't even know that they weren't conscious connections, in the sense that sometimes people just feel like random people in your life. Like you hear people say all the time, you don't get to choose your family. I actually think you do. And that's been part of my journey this last 18 months, part of that past component. This card is the past, right? Where I've been, and where I've been is learning that all these relationships and all these connections are intentional. um, what is already with you is the card. This is where I am now. And I love this because you see the transformation happening. Oh, it goes really nicely with my becoming tattoo, right? Here's the little what do you call it? Butterfly. And this is really where I am at now. This is a 17, also breaks down to an 8. Two eights. Just talk about manifesting infinite possibilities. That's where I'm at right now. I'm um sorry, I just want to feel into this card a little bit. This is what I'm getting from this, and it says it right here. What is already with you is that this transformation that's happening for me right now, there's no new learnings, there's no new thoughts, there's no new ideas. All of this existed, all of this was within me, just as it is within you, because we're all divinely connected to higher consciousness. And there's no new ideas and new thoughts. It might be new for you. And that's where I'm at now, is I'm in, creating more intention around what I'm tuning into. So, if you want to hear country music, then you got to stop tuning into the rock and roll station. You got to tune into the country music station, right? And that's what I'm learning, is that there's no new thoughts, there's no new ideas. But what is new is how those thoughts and ideas marry up with other thoughts and ideas to form your belief system and to create your life experience. So, how those beliefs and ideas and thoughts unfold in your life, those are unique to each one of us. And that's what's helping the universe expand, but nothing is new. Any narrative you're saying to yourself is an idea that's already out there energetically in the universe. You're just tuning into it or attracting it to you, whether you want to think of yourself as a magnet who's attracting that idea of I'm not worthy, or attracting that idea of I am worthy, or whatever, or whether you want to think of it as tuning into the worthy station or the unworthy station. Um, and when you realize that those ideas are not necessarily your own. They're just varying ideas that plot on the love spectrum, and you can distill that idea down and say, I'm thinking this makes me feel uncomfortable because it makes me like. I'll use the example with my friend this weekend. It made me uncomfortable to think that I was doing something that was actually against my belief system. It made me question, like, what have you learned, Jennifer? What have you learned? Right. And so when I thought about it, I was judging the experience negatively. And so I was sitting somewhere down here in this realm of fear, because anything negative is triggered by fear. So what's the fear? The fear is that I'm trying to be love and light, and instead I'm cramming stuff down people's throats that don't want it. And that's not very loving, and that's not bringing light. But when I brought all of that into, when I shined the light on it, when I allowed myself to examine it more closely, I realized, like the spiral, this is just me coming around the bend again to this old way of being, as an assessment to say, have you fully released that yet? Have you fully released the idea that you need to convince somebody of something? Here, I've released it, but in action, in experience, I hadn't fully released it. So it was actually a beautiful thing. This was an opportunity for me to evaluate that with somebody that loves me, that trusts me, that knows me, that cares about me, that um, is a safe space to have those kinds of experiences. And so it really turned out to be something beautiful and wonderful. And so that's what this process is for me of transformation, is realizing that nothing new here, just tuning into a higher degree of light, a higher degree of love and enlightenment, removing judgment. I mean, removing judgment takes you leaps and bounds. Okay. And then where I'm going in the future, where I'm heading, she feels, she knows. I love this. Um, Sorry, I'm taking a moment of silence here just to feel into this card. This has been, again, quite the journey for me, to really get into my feels. That has been something that has been a little bit off limits for me most of my life. I was very type A. I was very into my masculine energy of doing instead of being, that masculine energy of give instead of take. So there was not much time I was spending receiving, and feeling into my intuition, feeling into messages from the divine. Now, I had a strong faith background, so I spent much time in prayer and devotion and things like that. But I was always operating from here, but feelings come from here. So that has been such a transition for me to really get into my heart space, get into my feelings, allow myself to be vulnerable, honor feelings, whether positive or negative, not stuff feelings down, not dismiss them. That has been quite the journey. And I would say, um, this is my future, right? This is the future card. She feels, she knows. And the more that I'm letting myself feel, the more that is being revealed to me. And again, I've said before, things start off as ideas. The more you think an idea, that idea that becomes a repeated thought becomes a belief. But to get from a belief to a knowing requires experience. And so she feels, she knows requires more of that feeling, more of those experiences to dig more into the knowings. And I feel like I've discovered a lot of knowings over the last 18 months, but I know it's just the tip of the iceberg. One of my intentions that I set at the beginning of 2025, and we're halfway through 2026 right now. So a year and a half ago, for my 2025 goals, was to get in touch with my clair senses. So clairaudience, clairvoyance, clair olfactory, clair, what are all the clairs I'm not thinking of? Clairsentience, um, whatever. There's a bunch of them, but that's your psychic seeing, your psychic hearing, your psychic sense of touch, your psychic feelings, like inner feelings, not touch feelings, but inner feelings, um, psychic smelling, psychic tasting, all of those psychic um, senses. And I'm using the word psychic because I don't know a better word to describe it. Maybe I should call it energetic, because I feel like there's a stigma around psychic for many people. This idea that, oh, she's trying to do some woo woo something. Well, I guess I am, but I'd rather not use the trigger word of psychic, even though I just said it like 50 times. And think of it differently. Think of it as energetic senses. Most of us operate with our five physical senses, and that limits us. We're limited in what we hear and understand from spirit when we're only allowing our five senses to operate. But when we feel, and we feel into things, it will open up those clair senses, those energetic senses, that will allow us more direct contact and information from spirit, and allow us that greater knowing. I'm going to read this last one. It's a 22. Love that. 22 is the master number for balance, for relationships. As I see it here, she feels she knows for me, this is about finding that inner balance, in that relationship with self, with all aspects of self, with the side, with your shadow self and your, um, what would what's the word I'm looking for? That would be opposite of shadow self, your light self. The shadow self is the self that you tend to want to hide, the parts of you that you tend to be ashamed of, that you judge. Coming into balance and learning to love that side of yourself as well as the other aspects that you already love of yourself. Coming into balance with your feminine and your masculine energies. I leaned more heavily masculine in my how I operated in life, how I thought about life, using more of my thinking mind, less of my heart. So learning how to bring that into balance has been key. Um, Finding, actually, it's funny because this one actually, now I'm really laughing. So balance has been the theme for me for like the last, I would say, week and a half to 2 weeks. It keeps coming up over and over again in messages, in shows. And it wasn't even a show, but something my husband was watching that was about balance, learning how to balance, figuring out how to balance things on your hand. It came up in my craniosacral session, 2 sessions in a row, where she said there's this imbalance in your left side and right side, specifically in your pelvic area and in your chest area, abdominal area. And so like there's been all this stuff around balance. And it even came up again today. What was it today? Oh, I'll tell you what it was. I was driving and I all of a sudden started getting energetic pulses in my body. And usually when that's happening, I'm either clearing old energy or I'm leveling up, like frequency wise, my frequency is changing. So I know when it's happening. And what was happening is I was feeling the energetic pulses were feeling like I could feel it coming up through my right shoulder and up into my right side of my back of my head and in my right pinky toe. And it reminded me when it happened that last night when I laid down to go to bed, I felt energetic impulses in my right pinky toe as well. And it was, it hurt and it only lasted for a few seconds, but I was like, what? Why my pinky toe? Like, I know what's happening. I know it's energy. But why my pinky toe? And so today, when it happened again, in these 2 spots and my toe, I'm like, what's going on with this toe thing? Like, this is not making sense to me. And I'm like, what purpose does the pinky toe serve in the body? Because this is spirit trying to give me a message, right? Even if it's just trying to release energy from that part of my body, whatever is happening, it's there to tell me something. So the discomfort is there to tell me something. So I thought about it and I'm like, I'm pretty sure your pinky toe is there to help you balance. So I went to the old Google machine and I asked it, and sure enough, it's there to provide balance, stability, and propulsion in motion is what it said. So this balance thing for me keeps coming up over and over. So the fact that I would get the master number around balance, knows that is divine right there. Divine. I even literally journaled about it today, saying this balance thing keeps coming back around. Okay, so let me just read this. An illumination is erupting from within you as a vision that is bringing what was once obscured into clarity. This is not likely to happen as a blinding, shocking insight, but as more of a softer, gentler knowing. It is like knowing something without understanding exactly when or how you came to know it. This insight will assist you, and you are asked to honor it. So this is interesting because that's similar to the pinky toe. I don't know how I knew it provided balance. I don't know where I ever got that information, but somehow when I was driving, I was like, I'm pretty sure the pinky toe provides balance. So I don't know, maybe I did learn that somewhere. But anyway, this insight will assist you and you are asked to honor it. You will know which insight it is at the right time. Your heart will tell you. You are therefore being asked to rely upon the clarity that is coming to you now or has just recently come. Gently but firmly, from that place of knowing, intend to act and take your next steps forward. That was the other thing in the pinky toe. It provided propulsion for motion, for forward motion. This oracle comes to you with guidance, particularly about long range or long term developments. Something that is far bigger than the immediate situation, issue, or moment is of importance, although you will only have a dim sense of that possibility at best. The situation you find yourself in right now may not be one of joy, but in time, you will understand more of the bigger picture. You will come to see why things are happening as they are and how you are being helped onto the next stage of your path, even though it may look like an obstacle right now. You're being asked to think in terms of the long-term happiness. Sometimes this warrants change or even temporary restrictions in the short term. If you can't see how the present can possibly become what you sense the future to be, this message is especially relevant. Through the natural process of transformation, that's where I'm at now, right? Through the natural process of transformation, Great leaps are indeed possible. You simply must be prepared to surrender into the process with absolute trust. That's what I've really been trying to learn to do, is surrender my mind to my heart and surrender my body, meaning fully release all tension in my body and allow energy to flow. That has been actually one of the revelations I had today when I was meditating was just how tense my head is. I've also, that has become into my awareness over the last year or so that I've been wearing this mouth guard for snoring. Um, and I noticed that I'm clenching it a lot. And then and I'm not sure why, like even in moments of rest and relax, I'm clenching. And I also notice when there's energetic healing going on in my body, whether it's, when I'm meditating or laying down and resting, or sometimes just when I'm sitting around, I'll start feeling energy moving in my body. And a lot of times it's happening around my jaw hinge. And I can just feel tightness in those areas. And I would say the tightest part of my body seems to be in my head area. And it makes sense because I've always been a thinker. Has always been on and going and going fast usually, right? I'm like always usually thinking a lot. So it makes sense because I will literally be sitting there and I'll realize that like my forehead is like in a tense position. And I'm like, why am I like that? And it's because I'm thinking. And it's like, relax these muscles in my face. I've been working really hard to relax my face and head muscles. And it might be a different part of the body for people listening to this if I end up posting this, but um, uh, it's fun to figure out where that is. And that might be an area that's creating blocks for you. And I really kind of um, tapped into that today and had that realization. So we'll see where that takes me because I took a couple extra minutes to try to like really like loosen my face muscles. I've even been doing a weird like thing with my tongue. Anyway, um, I don't know where I was at, so I want to go here. The situations in your current life are particularly geared towards a more significant manifestation that's coming to you according to your life path and purpose. This is a stage of preparation and of building a foundation that will hold you strong and centered as your creative journey unfolds and your life path becomes more brilliant and luminous. So keep plugging away, remain patient, but most of all, be hopeful and trust in the light you sense ahead of you, for it is the light that is within you, simply revealed more fully. And all that is happening now is happening to that end. Love that. Peace out. Thanks for watching.